Welcome back, America. I'm Hugh Hewitt. Josh Kraushaar with Axios joins me. Good morning, Josh.
Good morning, Hugh.
You're looking great and bright and early in the morning. Tell me what you think the consequences are for the six, because I've known Kevin McCarthy since 1989. He's not the payback kind of guy, but I'm not sure about the rest of the party. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I am not so sure there's going to be much payback just because of the slim margins that Republicans have in this new Congress. I mean, look at all the concessions that McCarthy already made to folks like, even Matt Gaetz at the very end, but also folks who, have not traditionally been close allies of the new speaker. So, look, he could punish some of these final holdouts with not giving them committee assignments, with withholding campaign cash, doing things like that. But if you look at this rules package that got passed, it goes in the opposite direction. It's giving more leverage to any one individual or to any faction that wants to really disrupt his speakership. So I'm not optimistic, or I'm not bullish, at least, that there's going to be a whole lot of tools to limit the disruption that some of these radicals will end up trying to use.
Josh, I don't think anyone will get punished. There are sticks and carrots. There aren't going to be any sticks. It's just that nobody's getting any carrots among the six, and they're on their ice flow. They want to get reelected. Great. I don't think you're going to see the NRCC giving them any money. I don't think you're going to see that. They'll get committee assignments. They've got people that are legitimately need a representative in the House. But there's a way that Washington works where the party never forgets. Do you agree with me on that? Because ingratitude is a sin anywhere, but it's really bad when Kevin McCarthy gets you elected and then you stab him in the back on the last ballot. That's really repulsive.
Well, one of the bigger surprises among the holdouts is this guy from Arizona, Eli Crane, who is in a swing district. It leans a little Trump, but in a bad year, it certainly could be very much in play for Republicans. And McCarthy, the NRCC, the House Campaign Committee, gave over $1 million to his campaign. McCarthy's super PAC gave another $1 million to his campaign. He was the last guy on my list of my own whip count. I did not see him as being someone who was ultimately going to vote against McCarthy, but he is one of these Freedom Caucus types who is in a very conservative, or it's a swing district, but they're very conservative rural parts of that district that are very anti-establishment. And he was one of the final holdouts. He was one of the final six. So, I think that goes to show how treacherous this majority will be for McCarthy, because some of the people who he helped, and at least that one guy, and I think Anna Paulina Luna from Florida also on that list, these folks got campaign cash. McCarthy campaigned for them. He spent political capital on their behalf, and that was the gratitude that they showed him.
I have only met Eli Crane once, but it was in Wyoming when I flew out there to the McCarthy Fab where they had all the would-be candidates. I interviewed him. And I heard over the weekend from Arizonans that they are stunned by Eli Crane. And he's a SEAL. He's a warrior. He's also new to the House. And he won by 8 points. So all it takes is 5% of the Republicans to say, no, we don't roll that way. So you can have 20% of the hardcore that you get out there and find Trump banners, and even though Trump called him, and it doesn't matter. I don't know how he gets saved, but Lauren Boebert, She won by 100 votes, 400 votes. I don't think she's coming. She's done. And she's over on CNN pleading her case. I just don't think she's getting reelected, Josh. Do you?
Yeah, well, you've got Boebert, who should, again, she's also a Trump plus 8 district, should be in better shape, barely won in 2022. Scott Perry is another guy who, now he's a survivor. He's in a swing district that leans a little Republican, and he's managed to win in some tough elections. But he's also someone who doesn't have the strongest political standing, in the long term. The thing that I'm kind of struck by is that I think half of these final six holdouts are from Arizona. I mean, there's something in the water in Arizona.
Given Doug Ducey won by 23 points. What I want to ask you, what I really want to hear about, does ingratitude repulse D.C. as much as it does the country? Because when somebody helps you get something, to immediately turn around and say, Matt Gaetz hates Kevin McCarthy. He's a bad man. But the other one, does D.C. recoil from that, Josh Kraushaar?
Yes, but McCarthy's skill, the strongest asset that McCarthy brings to the table is being able to build a Big Tent, to have, Brian Fitzpatrick and Marjorie Taylor Greene under the same umbrella. that's a good skill to have, especially if you have a bigger majority. But leadership and making the tough decisions is what's going to be necessary in this Congress when you've got the nine seat majority to play with. So, in a better time, McCarthy may have been a really effective leader. I'm skeptical that he's going to be able to wrangle the cats and wrangle all these different factions because his personality. I've known McCarthy for quite some time. He's a business guy. He's a very happy warrior, but he's not the kind of guy who's going to make the tough calls and to say the tough things to people who need to be punished, who need to be punished for their disloyalty. So,
Josh, that's interesting. He's not Tom DeLay, but he's also not John Boehner. I think he's going to be a very good speaker, and I don't know that that's probable. What percent do you give him of odds of him being speaker in 4 years? I think they're quite high.
Yeah, well, I think the House is going to be very much in play in 24. I think the Senate, we could see the bodies flip. I think the House is going to be very vulnerable for Republicans. The Senate is going to be very winnable for Republicans in 2024. But look, I think he's got a hold on the clock. He'll last for 2 years. But I think the bigger worry, look at the talks about cutting defense. I mean, that's going to be a real worry. The Wall Street Journal.
Oh, that is. We'll come back to that next week. Josh Kraushaar of Axios. Thank you, Josh. Great to have you early in the morning.